Hello, good morning. Welcome to my Facebook Live for the month of August. August is going to be all about accountants and accounting and estate planning and all of the kind of stuff that goes into tax law. We're going to cover a wide variety of topics this month. Looking forward to it today. Today joining me is Peter Mcfarland. Hello, Peter.
Hello, BK. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Peter is with Long Law. I actually got introduced to Peter through the typical networking that I do, where I ask people, "Hey, do you know anybody who's good at such and such?" And they said, "Yeah, you need to meet Peter over at Long Law." And he and I had lunch. Although neither one of us actually ate lunch at our first meeting, we both just had our teas and chatted. But we instantly hit it off, and I knew in that very first conversation that Peter knew what the heck he was talking about. So here we are. Hello.
Yeah, the king of networking right here. We were just talking about this mirror image, and yes, right over here. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Peter, go ahead and take a couple minutes. Tell us about yourself, a little bit about how you got into this, why you're into this, all that kind of stuff. And then you have to answer my very favorite question is you have to tell me something not a lot of people know about you.
Yeah, sure. To answer kind of the first part of the question, how I got into this, it's funny. I went to law school, and the very first day I sat next to a girl who I became very good friends with over the course of law school. But, I sat next to this girl in this class, and I leaned over and I said, "Hey, watch, I'll probably end up being something really lame like a tax attorney." And here I am, you know. And yeah, I mean, even though at the time I thought it was lame, and the fun stuff is like criminal law and constitutional law, and your individual rights and freedom of speech, and all these great things. But at the end of the day, specialization is a really good thing. And I was going through law school during the 2008 crash, and everything. And so just looking at it, I became very practical, and I said, maybe tax, because there's that thing out there, death and taxes, right? But maybe tax is not a bad way to go. And then what I really love about tax is the fact that it touches everything, right? And so actually I get to kind of sit on this fence post and say, yeah, you're getting good advice there, but they're not thinking about tax impacts, right? And so let's back up. Let's talk about how things are going to hit the return. And maybe we want to do this slightly different because, you're going to wind up owing more at the end of the day. Or, this is false economy because in the short term, it'll be cheaper. But over the long term, man, the tax impacts are just going to rip you apart, right? So with that, I mean, we do a lot of tax planning, tax preparation. We do estate planning. We, look in particular at real estate law and transactions and tax impacts and everything related to that. I have a lot of clients who are, say, fix and flippers, rental owners, wholesalers, right? Whatever it may be. But at any rate, that's kind of how I got into this. Now, to answer your more particular, favorite question, I'll give you three really quick things. The first is I really love F1. I follow Formula One, and I just absolutely love it. Don't miss a single race, So that's one thing a lot of people don't know about me. I do Tai Chi. I can do the 12 form, the 18 form, the 24 form, and I'm learning the 36 form. I've been at it off and on for, 6-7 years, but really seriously pursuing it kind of in the last 2 years. And then the final thing that not a lot of people know about me is that I'm actually going to become the sole owner of this firm, and we are going to be rebranding and changing. That's right. Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, let me tell you. But yeah, we're going to change from Long Law Group to Fusion Legal Bookkeeping and Tax. And so it's just an exciting transition time for us.
That is very exciting, and congratulations on that.
Thanks.
It is well deserved, and it couldn't have happened to a better person. I'm excited to do whatever my part is to come alongside of you and be a part of that. So this will be very exciting. Let's go ahead and to dive in. One of the biggest things that's been on my mind is my audience knows I have a lot of kids by today's standards. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about the rescue plan and the child tax credit, what it is, just everything I need to know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny because I'm in a weird position where we prepare returns. And so a lot of the work that we do is actually kind of like looking back into the past. And so even though they passed this rescue plan, we haven't really seen it in motion yet, right? And so from the proactive planning standpoint, you have to know about this stuff, but it's just kind of funny because, you know, when you get that specialty is kind of interesting. But at any rate, yeah, the child tax credit has been hugely expanded. And that's actually a recurring theme in a lot of the different areas of the rescue plan. You know, a lot of our clients, not all, but a lot, fall kind of into that category of like under about $300,000 of income. I think the rescue plan is going to hit a lot of people who are kind of at that 250 and below mark. The child tax credit has phase outs, but in the past, you were completely phased out of the child tax credit if your AGI was about $16,000 or less. So not a lot of people really got to take advantage of this credit. Now it's actually going to hit families who have AGI of about $125,000 or less. So just the amount of families who will see the benefit of this has vastly expanded. And it's not fully phased out at 125,000, just so you know. It does go up, as I mentioned, kind of into that 200, 250, and there's phase outs kind of in between there. So again, just a lot of families are going to see the benefit of this, whereas before, you know, it was something that it wasn't even on our radars because the AGI limits were so low. That said, in addition to what, like kind of who qualifies, who can take advantage of it, the credit itself has undergone quite a bit of change. One of the biggest is that the credit is actually now refundable, whereas before it was not refundable. So if for any reason the credit is what took you under the point where you owed, then you wouldn't actually get a refund as a result of the credit. But now you will get a refund as a result of the credit. So that's a really big deal. And they're projecting for low income families that that's going to be a big game changer for them. That said, so basically the age limit as far as the expenses and whether they qualify has increased for children. It's gone up now from age 16 to age 17. So some of you who have older kids, you know, you might actually see some benefit, whereas before maybe you would think that you're phased out. The credit itself has increased. It's $1,000 increase per child over 6. But then if they're under 6, $3,600 per child. One thing that's different about this as well is it's now the child and dependent care tax credit. And so now we're no longer just talking about a credit for children. It also can include the litmus test is kind of somebody who can't take care of themselves for either physical or mental reasons, right? And so we're talking about somebody who's disabled, right? Or maybe somebody who had a work injury or something along those lines. And so now it's not just children anymore, elderly spouses, right? Or elderly parents, right? Not elderly spouses. That's kind of funny, but elderly parents now may get pulled into this, and then expenses that you have in trying to take care of them now can qualify. And also disabled spouses, right? If something happened at work or something along those lines, now they can actually qualify as well. Or expenses incurred for their care now can qualify. So big expansions. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So what about, I remember getting a letter, I want to say it was a month or two ago, about another change where I could get the child tax credit monthly versus getting a credit at the end of the year, so I can, you know, pay for the diapers and stuff that we need to afford. What's kind of the impact of if I chose to go that route versus getting the income, the credit at the end of the year?
Yeah, this is a really good question, actually. So it's kind of a classic, like problem or like, how do you approach it? And I remember going through school, we talked a lot about it in terms of like winning the lottery, right? If you win the lottery, you can take a lump sum or you can take kind of annuitized payments over time. And the strict like academic answer is actually it's probably better to take the annuitized payments. And the reason is, and they wouldn't be annuitized in this case, but it would be better to take the monthly payments. The reason is because of the time value of money. It's better to have money in your pocket now, get that money to work for you, right? And then you reap the benefits down the line. And so you have a longer time period to reap those benefits. That's kind of the classic academic thinking. But there are some real world considerations as far as whether that actually really does make sense. And so for families who typically wind up owing the IRS, actually, it might be better to just wait. Right? Because you're going to have a larger credit on your tax return then. And so it might actually wipe out what you owe, right? And so this year, maybe you could even get a refund rather than owing, right? So in that case, maybe it would make sense to hold off. Another great one would be if you want a lump sum, right? You're worried. If you're kind of like me, sometimes my finances feel like it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's like something, anytime I get a windfall, something comes along and, and then it just winds up going kind of back out the door or, whatever. And if you're worried about that and you like dealing more or kind of psychologically can deal with a lump sum better because you can pay something off with that, or you want to invest in something with that, then, maybe it's better to go with the lump sum then, right? Wait and then get the refund of that lump sum. So, it's kind of a philosophical difference in maybe how you manage your finances, but you have the academic answer, the monthly payment's probably better. The real life answer, something there may be a circumstance that intervenes that says, a lump sum actually here would be better. So hopefully that answers your question, BK. That kind of hedged my bet a little bit.
You mean there's a difference between the academic and real life? They don't coincide perfectly every single time? What?
Can I just say that my favorite line out of Ghostbusters is when Ray says, "You don't know what it's like in the private sector. They expect results."
Oh, I absolutely love it. See, guys, I told you he was a nerd like me. We work so well together. So one of the questions that just popped up in chat that I thought was really good is, what if there is I know a lot of people have I'm trying to think of the correct technical term, and the lawyers I interviewed last month would beat me up for not remembering it. But what if it's like the split custody situation where one parent gets to claim it 1 month and another one gets to claim it or another year, and they have that alternating thing? How does the monthly stipend affect that? If I take it monthly, does the other parent automatically get it monthly? Do I have to give it to them? I mean, how does that part work?
So it's kind of weird because the monthly payment is a prepayment, right? So it works a lot kind of like the stimulus money that came out, in the sense that they're just getting money in people's pockets, right? And then it's a credit on the tax return, and hopefully at the end of the year that's going to net out, right? To qualify for the child tax and dependent credit, they have to be with you more than 50% of the year, right? And so I think where it may get murky, and frankly, I don't really know the answer to this, because again, this is one of those cases where the rubber kind of needs to hit the road for us to really see how it's going to get into motion. But if you get the advance payment, but then later don't qualify for the credit, I don't know if you're going to have to repay that. Right. In the past with the stimulus money, we didn't have to repay it. Right. It was just a broad blast kind of shotgun approach. Just get the money out there. Right. And maybe it'll be similar. But at any rate, that's a really good question. And I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, if you know that the child is not with you more than 50% of the year, maybe hold off. Right. Don't put yourself in the situation where you're going to be the test case where we figure out if you have to pay that back.
Absolutely. Another question is, what if divorced parents have 50-50 custody? Who gets the credit and can they split it?
Yeah. So I think it's going to work much like it has in the past, where one parent can take it, and if one parent takes it, the other one can't. Right.
No, that's perfect. And ultimately, I think what it comes down to, guys, the bottom line is, if you have any questions about what's your tax account, what's going on with your taxes, reach out to your tax professional. If you don't have a professional, I know a really good one. They're fantastic. If people were interested in learning more and talking to you, I know it's been scrolling at the bottom of the screen this whole time, but for my audio listeners, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so email is probably the quickest and best way. It's Mcfarland, McFarland at longlg.com. Or the office phone number also works, 720-922-1120. And just to do a quick humble brag about us, I mean, what makes us different and kind of makes us the elephant in the room is the fact that the easiest way to sum up what we do is legal bookkeeping and tax, right? It's very rare to find a firm who can handle the legal issues as well as all of the kind of back of house accounting and bookkeeping and all of that all under one roof. And when people are all under one roof, there's kind of a magic that happens, right? Where a lot of collaboration happens and a lot of understanding kind of across the different disciplines happen. And it's hard to do that over Zoom with a new professional that you're meeting, or, somebody else is kind of second guessing your approach or something. So anyways, that's hope that that summarizes.
Absolutely. You get bugged less and your professionals communicate more and better. I love it. I think that's fantastic. But Peter, I wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to hop on here. I know I definitely learned a lot. I made a couple of notes while you were talking as far as how all this stuff is concerned. So again, thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You bet. To the rest of you, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I hope you got some value just like I did. As always, I'm Benjamin, mortgage loan officer. Interest rates are really, really low right now. We plan on them keeping them low for the foreseeable future, whatever that looks like, the next 3 months, whatever. So if you know anybody looking to purchase or refinance, send them my way. I'm also starting to dive into my ideas for September. So if you know anybody, any industry, any thought, I usually like to do it a theme because it helps me plan. So last month was family law. This month is accountant. Next month, it can be anything at all that you want. So if you have an idea for an awesome person to interview or something I can base a theme around, please leave it in the comments and let me know. And with that, thank you so much, guys. Take care.